Hello, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another reading vlog where I'm gonna be reading some of my anticipated books. Okay, so I've been doing some of these videos this year reading my anticipated books because the last couple of years I've just for some reason procrastinated reading the books that I was anticipating, maybe for the added pressure that I had because I had like such high expectations, so I was afraid to not love them, and I left them, like a bunch of them, to the end of the year, and then I was like rushing to get through them all. So this year I'm trying to read them soon-ish after they come out. I definitely was doing better at the beginning of the year, but then I had a reading slump, which obviously put me behind on these books and like every book. But we are, catching up. And so in this video, I'm going to read 4 books. We have a fantasy, a horror, a fantasy horror, and a thriller. And obviously, I have, high expectations for these books because they are my anticipated releases. I expect to either love or really like them all. And, for the most part, the ones that I have already read, for the most part, like it has been successful. I have enjoyed them. I haven't loved everyone, but I have enjoyed at least most of them. So, it's going well. And yeah, like I said, my expectations are definitely high for all of these books. And this is spoiler free. Obviously, I talk about, the synopsis, what's happening in the beginning, and then give my thoughts about the book, but I don't go like into any specific spoilers. And yeah, let's just get into the video. Okay, so I am 50% into Girl in the Creek, which is the first book for this video, and this is a horror book, and we are following Erin, and she is going to the hometown where her brother went missing. And actually this town has like a long list of like missing persons cases, so like she already knows that going into the town. And there are also like a bunch of creepy places in the town as well, like in the woods, and also like ruins and places that were kind of destroyed, or like I think one of them was like burned down and a bunch of people died there. So like definitely a lot of creepy locations, and like I said, a lot of people go missing in this town. And so one day or one night, I don't exactly remember, Erin and her group are like out, and they find a dead body in the creek. They find the girl in the creek, and she is taken to the morgue, and then she actually disappears from the morgue. And that's pretty much all that has happened so far. Like there is something else in the synopsis that hasn't happened yet, which is that the dead girl's fingerprints appear like in a crime scene. So that hasn't happened yet. I assume it will probably soon because I am halfway through the book, but that hasn't happened yet. And like it's going okay. I'm liking it, but I'm not loving it. Like I like the creepy parts because we also have like some chapters from the POV of something, and those chapters are definitely creepy and they are like my favorite part. But this is mostly about Erin, and we're just following her, and not only as she investigates, we're following her as she is living her life, visiting the town and meeting people, and there's sort of kind of a romance, maybe, possibly. So I don't really care that much about that. Like I want more about the creepy parts, with like the girl that they found and disappeared, and also like those chapters with the creepy POV. Like I really like that. I want more of that. But like it's going okay. It's going fine. I'm liking it, but I'm definitely not loving it. And I feel like part of the problem is that I don't really care that much about Erin. Like don't feel a connection to her. So like maybe if I did, if I cared, I would be enjoying more like of her chapters. But again, since I don't really care, I don't really feel anything towards her, I don't really care about her chapters. So yeah, that's how it's going. It's fine. It's okay. I'm going to finish reading it, and I will be back with my thoughts on the second half. Hopefully it gets creepier. I'm hoping and assuming it will, but we will see. Okay, so I finished Girl in the Creek, and we got to see the rest of the plot that was said in the synopsis, obviously, and some things more. And we learned like what happened to all of the people who went missing, and like how they were all connected, and like everything that was behind that, and how the girl who died like then disappeared again. And like I continue to feel pretty much the same way about it as I was before. So like I was really liking the creepy parts and like the body horror parts as well. But when we were just following Aaron, I was just like, I didn't care really. So it was all gonna depend on the ending. It was either gonna be 3 or 3.5 stars. And like as we were getting to the ending, and I mean as we were going through like the ending, it was just being okay. But then the very end I did really like, because it's the kind of ending that I really like in horror stories. So yeah, I did really like the ending. It was exactly what I wanted it to be, but the rest was just mostly okay. Again, I really like the creepy parts. I thought the like creepiness in body horror was pretty good, but a lot of the time we were just following Aaron, and I didn't really care about that. So yeah, it was fine. It was okay. It was still a fun time. I still obviously enjoyed it, but I didn't, love it, sadly. But yeah, I did really like the ending, so I'm giving it 3.5 stars. And we're gonna go into our next book, which is The Bewitching, which is fantasy horror, I think. And I think it's about witches, which would make sense with the title. So yeah, I'm gonna read half of that book and I will be back. Okay, so I am 53% into The Bewitching, and this is a horror fantasy, and we are basically following 3 characters in 3 different years. So we start by following Minerva in 1998, I think, and basically she starts by saying that her great-grandmother used to say that like there were witches when she was younger. And we also follow that great-grandmother in 1908, and she's called Alba. We basically are following, like in 1998, we are following Minerva as she's in college, and she's researching the work of an author that went to the same college as she is at. And basically like the novel that she wrote was like horror, I think, and it was based on like a true story of a friend of hers that she was actually in love with disappeared, like under mysterious circumstances. And so Minerva is very curious about like what happened to that girl that disappeared, and she is researching that. And actually there is like another friend of that author that like is still alive, and she has obviously information and details, and she has documents as well, and she's like researching all of that. And so we're also following that story as it is unfolding in 1934. And in 1908, with Minerva's great-grandmother, we are following her as she is like 18, 19, I think, and she is having like some difficult times, like her family, because her father has died. And then there is like a disappearance in her family, and people are talking about witches, like it was a witch that caused that. And she's also like obviously investigating that person that disappeared. And also in Minerva's story, like she is focused on her research, but there's also someone that's like from her college that seems to maybe have disappeared as well. And in obviously in the story from 1934, like the one that gave origin to the book, obviously someone disappeared as well. So like there's disappearances in these 3 years, and I'm assuming they're all connected to witches, which is very exciting. And in the beginning, like we were learning about all of this, but we hadn't yet had like any appearances from the witches. And now, at least in one of the years, we have had appearances from the witch or from like a couple witches, which was really fun. And we've also had like some creepy scenes happening. And actually, like the very last chapter that I read from Minerva's POV, something pretty creepy happened. I think it was like actually the end of that chapter. It was pretty creepy and kind of gross. Something happened. So I'm actually having a great time. I am very invested. I'm really liking this. I'm really liking the vibe, and I'm actually very curious as to what happened, like in honestly, like in all of the stories. And again, they're connected to witches, but obviously I don't know the details of anything about like any of it happened. I do have a theory for like the 1934 part. I don't think I'm right, but I do have a theory-ish. But yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. I am really liking, I think actually like the part that I'm liking the most is like Alba's chapters. And Minerva's I'm also liking, but I like her, but I don't love her. And also like the most creepy things are happening in like Alba's chapters, so there's also like why I'm liking that one the most, I think. But yeah, like overall I'm still really enjoying like all of the years and all of the characters and all of the stories, and I'm very excited to see how they all come together because I'm assuming they're, you know, all connected. So yeah, I'm very excited. I'm very invested. I'm having a great time. It's pretty creepy, like the vibe overall. Again, especially in Alba's chapters. And yeah, I'm having, like I said, a great time. So I'm gonna finish it and I will be back. Okay, so I have finished the Bewitching, and in this second half, we definitely got more like creepy scenes. We definitely got more like scenes really, really about the witches and like about the magic and about like how exactly they do what they do and how to fight them as well. And I don't know if I mentioned this here in this video or if I mentioned this in my weekly vlog. I really don't remember, but I had like a theory from the very beginning of the book that I thought was like far-fetched, but actually it was sort of what was happening. So that happened. I really did not expect to be correct, but yeah, that actually was kind of what was happening. So I kind of figured out how things were connected. And I did like that, you know, that was what was happening. And I definitely got more attached to Minerva as the book went on. So I was, you know, caring more about what was happening, like in the second half of the book, especially to her, because I mean, I continue to be definitely more invested in Alba's story, but I also got more connected to Minerva as well. And yeah, we got more creepy scenes. Although, like, I wish we had gotten like even more, because again, we got most of them in Alba's story. The rest we were just like learning what was happening, but not as much like the witches themselves and like creepy, scary things about the witches. That was mostly in Alba's story, which is why it continued to definitely be my favorite. But yeah, we definitely got a little more scary, creepy scenes, and it was definitely fun. I definitely got how it all came together, how it all connected, and how, you know, they were fighting the witches and how they like discovered the mysteries and how like they solved everything. I did really, really like it. I definitely had a really good time, and I did love all the creepy, scary scenes that we got. I just wish that we had gotten like a little more of them. But yeah, it was definitely very fun. I did really, really like it. And I think I'm going to give it 4 stars, but I will definitely give my final ratings like at the end. But yeah, for now it's definitely feeling like a 4 star, a solid 4 star. And yeah, it was a great time. Always love some witches. And yeah, that's the second book of this video. And now we are gonna go into the third book of this video, which is Not Quite Dead Yet, which is a mystery thriller. I'm gonna get into that and I will be back. Okay, so I am 51% into Not Quite Dead Yet, and this is a mystery thriller, and we are basically following Jet. And in the beginning of the book, Jet is attacked. She is hit on the head like 3 times, and when she wakes up in the hospital, she is told that she has probably like around 1 week to live, because she has like she had some brain damage, and it will kill her, like an aneurysm will kill her eventually, probably around a week. And there is a surgery that she could do, but there is like a 10 or less than 10% chance of survival. And she obviously is given that option, but she said that like between dying now or dying in a week, I'd rather die in a week. And she's gonna use that week that she has to basically solve her own murder. And so are seeing her as she investigates who could have attacked her and, killed her, basically, because she is basically, I mean, she's alive, but she's, dead, because she will most likely die in a week. Now, less than a week, because, days have passed. And in the beginning, like, we went through a first chapter before she was attacked with her, in which I was like, she's not very likable, but actually she has definitely grown on me in this 50%. And she has like very dark humor because she keeps making jokes about death, and no one laughs because she says those things to people that care about her and are seeing her like actively die. And so no one thinks it's funny, but personally I think it's very funny because that is also my kind of humor. That is 100% the kind of jokes that I would do. So I think it's very funny. But also it's very sad. Like the tone of the book is very like morbid and sad, but at the same time it is funny. And I am liking the investigation. She's also like investigating with a friend. He's helping her. And there's also like a bunch of family issues that she has. And there's like a main suspect, but I'm assuming, this main suspect that we have in the first 50% of the book is not actually, who did it. And, I wonder if there's going to be like some miracle happening at the end and she's actually going to survive, or if we're really just spending a whole book connecting to a character for her to die in the end, which like I'm 100% prepared for, because that is, where it seems to lead. But yeah, she's, like I said, definitely growing on me. And so I will definitely be sad when she does die. But yeah, I am liking it. I am liking the investigation. I'm not like, completely obsessed with it. And I feel like by the end, I'm probably going to think that this is maybe a bit too long, because like I am liking it, but I'm only halfway through and I feel like already a lot of time has passed. So I feel like in the end, I will think it's maybe a bit too long. We'll see. Obviously, it depends on how this second half goes. But so far, like, I am liking it. I'm definitely enjoying it. I'm just not, absolutely obsessed with it. But I do like the main character now. She has definitely grown on me. And I really, really, really like the friend that she's investigating with. And I am definitely very curious as to, who attacked her. And there are definitely some interesting suspects for sure. And yeah, I'm having a fun time. I'm not sure if fun is the correct word to use here, because like I said, it's quite sad and morbid sometimes. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. I am intrigued, I am invested. So yeah, so far it's definitely going well. So yeah, I'm gonna finish it and I'll be back with my thoughts on the second half. Okay, so I finished, not quite dead yet, and actually I liked it more than I expected because I think I said in my other updates, if I didn't, I said it in like my weekly vlog, but I think it was here that I would probably end up thinking it was too long, but actually I didn't. And I mean, the like mystery and the investigation itself, there was a point in which I was not like the most excited about, but I really, really like the characters, and so I was fine with just like following them and like learning more about them and like getting even more connected with them. So I wasn't like bored with the book. I just wasn't like at times as excited about the investigation as, you know, in the beginning. And I do feel like the end was maybe like a bit rushed. And like I did figure out who like the killer was a little before they did, but I still really like the investigation, and mostly I really connected to the characters. And I also said that in the beginning, like in the prologue, I guess. I don't know if it was actually in a prologue, but the first chapter, I said that Jet was like not very likable in the beginning, but definitely she really, really, really grew on me. And she definitely like wasn't a perfect person, but yeah, I really like to follow her and her friend Billy, and like seeing the two of them working together. And yeah, I really like the characters mostly, and I was definitely very like emotional towards the end. And yeah, I liked it. I really enjoyed it. I actually like I finished the book while listening to the audiobook while I was like working in the cell culture, because like I was working with my hands, but it was not like something that I had to like really think about. I was just, you know, doing. It's something that like I'm very used to doing, so I didn't need to like be focusing that hard. So I was finishing the book and I was actually like getting emotional in the subculture, and I was like, what is happening? Not emotional as in like, you know, enough to cry, but I was, you know, feeling things. So yeah, that happened. I think I'm gonna give it 4 stars. Probably that is what I'm leaning towards, but I will give my final rating at the end. But yeah, I did really like it, and I did really, you know, grow attached to these characters, especially like the two characters that were following the most. I mean, only actually the two characters that were following the most. The others I didn't really care about. But yeah, I liked it. It was very sad, but I did enjoy the book. And now I'm going into the final book for this video, which is A Raging Heart, which is the third and final book in the Heartless Fates trilogy. I think that's what the trilogy is called, but I might be wrong, which is fantasy and also kind of romance. And yeah, I am excited because I really like also the characters in this book, and in the last book they were all like really, you know, struggling, and I assume they're also gonna really struggle. I mean, they're especially probably gonna struggle in this book because it's, you know, the last one. So yeah, I'm gonna read half of that book and I will be back. Okay, so I am halfway through A Raging Heart, and so this is the third and final book in the, I I think it's Heartless Fates trilogy, and this is fantasy, and I don't know if it's romantasy actually, but it does like have a heavy romance component. And so basically the main character that we're following is called Kala, and she is a witch. And in this world, like the fate of the witches is like connected to the witches' dice, which they like roll, and they get, numbers, and those numbers are associated with their fates. And as Kala keeps, rolling the dice, it seems that her fate is gonna be connected to like a war of their gods, and she doesn't want that for herself, understandably so. So in the first book, she goes to the never-ending forest because she hears that there's someone there who can basically like change her fate. And so she and some other people that she goes with, and also someone else that she meets along the way that also wants to change their fate, they all go to the never-ending forest, and they have to go through a bunch of trials until they get to the person that they're looking for. And so we are following a bunch of witches, and then throughout the course of the series you also meet other like magical beings. We have like sirens, we have valkyries, we have other things that I currently don't remember. But yeah, we have not it's not just witches, there are other magical creatures. And obviously we also meet the like queens, the rulers, and also like their connection to the upcoming war. And there is, like I said, a big romance component. And like in the previous books, it didn't really bother me, but I feel like in this one we are focusing so much on like the various relationships that either exist or are like in the process of existing. And I just like, I don't care that much about any of them really. There's only one that I'm like sort of interested in, or like I was before, but like now in this book it's also pissing me off, so there's that. But yeah, we're also following a lot like Kala's two best friends, and one of them is also a witch and the other is a siren. And actually the second book was like really, we're following the siren a lot. Her name is Delphine, and in this one we are following the other witch, Hannah, a lot. So we're also following them, and I do really like the two of them. I do like their friendship, like the three of them. I do actually really like the characters, but like I'm just kind of bored in this one because we're focusing so much on the romance and we're not getting as much, of the fantasy plots that I as I was expecting. But now, like the last part that I read at the halfway mark, it's actually like things were happening. So I think it is gonna get more interesting, at least I hope, because so far, like I'm not disliking it, but I'm definitely not loving it either. So yeah, I hope it gets more exciting. Hope we get more into the, fantasy war-ish part and focus a little less on the romance, because it's not really what I wanted. So yeah, there's that. And yeah, that's it for now. I'm liking it, but I'm certainly not loving it, and I am a little bit bored. But I'm going to finish the book, and I will be back with my last thoughts on this book, and also like the final ratings for everything, and just the conclusion for this video. Okay, so I finished A Raging Heart, and I did definitely enjoy it more in the second half because we did, get back to the action. We got back to like the fantasy plot. And so, there were a lot more things for me to be interested in, because obviously we got like the resolution of this whole war that we've been learning about since the first book, and we saw like what the characters had to go through, and there was definitely action and I was more invested, but I still didn't love it. Like even that part, I actually felt like it was quite rushed, especially because it was maybe like one third of the book or less. And I mean, obviously, like they were preparing for it during the rest of the book. But when we actually got to, the big thing that we have been waiting for since book one, I think it was actually very rushed. So yeah, there's that. But I did like overall like the resolution. I did overall like where our characters end up. And actually, like the main character, she definitely got a very interesting like ending. It was not like something that I had expected, but I actually did really like it. It was very, yeah, like I said, interesting. So yeah, I did like it. I was definitely more invested. It was more like engaging to follow in the second half because we got more action and less romance. So I did like it more, but I still didn't, absolutely love it. But I finished the series, which is great because I'm in the middle of so many series right now. So yeah, I did finish another series, which is great. And so going into like the final ratings for all of the books that I read in this video. So the first one was Girl in the Creek, and I gave that one 3.5 stars. Then I read The Bewitching, which I gave 4 stars. Not quite dead yet. I also gave 4 stars. And A Raging Heart. I finished reading it last night, so I'm not entirely sure 100% about the rating, but I think I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. So it was definitely successful because we got 2 4 stars and 2 3.5 stars. Like, I didn't, find a new favorite book, but also I did enjoy all of the books. So it was still pretty successful, and I did, like I said, enjoy all the books, and obviously made progress in reading my anticipated books, which is what this was all about. And I only have like 4 more books out of like my anticipated releases to go. So yeah, we're making good progress, and 2 of them are not released yet. The other 2 are, so I am gonna get on that pretty soon, hopefully. But yeah, that is everything for this video. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you have enjoyed it, and if you did, give it a like and subscribe, and I will talk to you next time. Bye!